is now. We are at Season 2, Episode 1. And we didn't even introduce ourselves.
We didn't.
No. I'm Nikki Godwin.
And I'm Ty Godwin.
And welcome to the Butterfly Pavilion Podcast.
Wonderful. Season 2. Wow.
I know. That's
Season
so
2,
exciting. What a wonderful journey Season 1 was. But I'm excited to dive in today to the first episode of this season. And our topic today, if you can tell by our cool outfits and backdrop,
for those on YouTube that follow our YouTube channel.
At Maya. The Denver Broncos is the main topic of today. We're Colorado natives. And Denver Broncos, we've been fans in our family for at least 3 generations.
Yes.
So we're diehards over here.
It started with my dad, your grandpa Tom, had season tickets dating back to like
the 70s.
He changed the story often, but it was 61 or 62. I think.
Oh wow, the 60s.
Yeah.
So wait, was that
early 60s?
What was that stadium called? Was it Invesco or no?
It might. So they share the stadium with a minor league baseball team called the Bears.
What?
Yeah, bad news Bears.
The Bears.
I think it was just Mile High Stadium. There were no stadium sponsors back then.
Right. Yeah, because Denver was this like hunky dory little town that like wasn't as big as it is today.
Yeah, but I think I remember going to a Bears game once, and I've got this like mental memory of like a hot dog advertisement.
Ooh, we love that.
Kind of like in the movies where they got the big giant, sponsors. But yeah, there was hot dogs. So it was a hot dog stadium. But yeah, so Broncos are a very big deal in the family.
Oh yeah.
It's like the commercial where you bring home a date and he's a Raider fan.
Oof,
and
bad news.
Bad news. We're not going to go with that. But we do have for our podcast listeners, we're decked out in Bronco gear.
Yep.
Nikki's wearing Elway.
Elway is number 7.
I watched his podcast this week. Amazing. I thought it was very cool.
The podcast or the documentary?
He's got a documentary on Netflix.
Okay, so you watched...
He was also on Shannon Sharpe. He was also on Shannon Sharpe's podcast this week. Which is cool because they talked about Hulk.
Oh, sweet.
Not the Hulk banner, but we have the Hulk banner that hung in Old Mile High Stadium, the new stadium, and actually traveled to Super Bowl 32. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get into all of the deets on
fans. We will.
Fandom.
I'm not sure when we'll post this. It'll probably post pretty quick because we now have higher production quality using Filmora. Software and these new mics.
And the Denver Broncos are on fire right now.
Well, by the time we post this, we will know if they have the 1 seed or not. As of this moment, they have not played their last home game, which is against the Chargers.
Tomorrow.
And Chargers are sitting their starters. But we thought it'd be very cool since the Broncos have guaranteed a playoff berth. To do a Bronco episode.
Mm-hmm. And not just because they're doing well, but because
it's a huge part of our lives.
It's a huge part of our lives and the Godwin family. So, also, Dad, do we need to turn the fan back on? Because we absolutely can.
Let's turn the fan on because I am beating up.
Because the Broncos are just on fire. We're feeling the fire.
Yes. So... That's funny. Not funny. Dad has been doing, and we've talked about hormone deprivation therapy as part of my cancer journey. And I get hot flashes. So even though it's winter, I still wear shorts. Thank you for the fan. I feel much better.
Yes. Well, and
we can edit that out.
We can absolutely edit that out. But I was also going to say, the side note, the weather in Denver has been insane. It is January 3rd, and it is, I'm fact checking the temperature right now.
While you're doing that, it rained at a Buffalo Bills game last week.
Weird. It is 61 degrees in Denver right now. This is so weird for this time of year. Like, this is our winter, Great football weather, I will say, but it's just like a little polarizing because we're normally bundled up. It's really cold. And normally on Sundays when we hang out and watch football, it's like freezing outside. So I'm just thrown off. Anyways.
So
dive.
As of this moment, they've got one last home game, and they are guaranteed. Well, they're in the playoffs.
Hell yeah.
We'll know what their seeding is, and may or may not have a first round bye, and we will know that by the time we post. But it has a lot to do with our family. Aunt Kim.
Very much so.
My God, you couldn't find a more hardcore Bronco fan than Aunt Kim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're just, we've been a Broncos family and fans for, again, over 3 generations. I grew up watching football, and yeah, we're all diehard Bronco fans. But before we kind of get into diving in more on the Broncos, I think we have some fan mail, right, Dad?
Yeah, well, I wanted to read a text that I thought was awesome. A very good friend of mine from college, who remains a great friend, Joe, also known as Dr. Gupta.
Oh, I did. Okay.
I just did that.
You did.
We need to get a date on the calendar. Your podcast is getting better and better. I really enjoy the conversations. Yes. The one with Akiko was enlightening. It was great to hear your voice because we've been trying to get together with Joe and his wife Lita, and he's a big fan. It was great to see that text. He did mention Akiko. I do want to thank her. I thought she was very engaging, very gracious. I posted in my year in review the little short clip of where I asked, how would you like to be addressed? As a professor, as a doctor, Miss Awasaki, and she's just Akiko, please. And I said, just like you mean like Cher, and one word name, because when you reach that level of coolness and status, she goes with one word. Mac is staring at us like, oh yes,
Mac
said her name, and she responded.
Oh, there's lots of ways.
It's a dog-friendly episode, or dog-friendly podcast.
Always.
So we are up at Nikki's. Anyway, Mac, you can sit right here, Mac.
Yeah,
you can join
she's
us.
All like,
she's like, she
was confused by all the wires.
Oh yeah, she wants to see Papa. Oh, I'm getting a full on.
She loves her Papa.
No means no.
Mac, down.
I love you. Oh, I love it when she attacks me. Yeah. So that is Mac, and we'll hope that she just stays with us. Because, oh yes, you're cute. Oh yes, another kiss on the face. Oh Lord.
Kick her out if we need to.
Yeah, so we've had Finch, and we haven't had Louie on a podcast, have we?
No, because the last episode
we hadn't adopted him yet.
No, I think we were here, and then the other one was with Akiko, so we were remote. Miss Girl, and then we haven't recorded at the house.
Okay, no, we haven't.
Okay.
Jeez. Anyway, so for Apple and Spotify, you just need to visualize the cute dog, or go to our YouTube channel and see.
She's a cockapoo and has red hair like me.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. Pop loves little Miss Mac. Anyway, so we're going to talk Broncos. We covered fan mail. And again, thanks to Akiko. I think we were talking about her. Huge thanks to her. I thought it was a great episode. Although we talked about it before we started recording, my energy was not there that day, and I was very foggy, so I had to do a lot of editing because there was a lot of... Yeah, I felt like I fumbled a lot, and then eventually we got in a groove. But most of the great content came from Akiko. But
well, that wasn't our first guest, but it was our first guest of someone that you admired and.
Well, we admired the Resistors, but they're like friends.
They're friends.
It's the first time we brought on
an expert,
a one-word superstar in the long COVID community.
Yes. So, hey, you know what? We all are just show up and do our best every day.
Exactly.
That's what we do. But
all right, so we're going to talk a little Broncos.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to answer this as well, but I would love to hear from you some of your earliest Bronco memories.
Right. So I already talked about the stadium and that they shared with a minor league team called the Bears. But I started going to games when I was 9 years old. And
Wow.
there was an age, and it might have been right close to that, where my dad had 4 season tickets in the South Stands. You're packed on these benches. There were benches, not,
Oh my God, they're like, okay, benches, not seats.
and fiberglass. So you would come home and your posterior would itch because you sat on fiberglass.
I feel like that's illegal now.
I don't think it was very healthy. But
No,
anyway,
it sounds
so
uncomfortable.
1972, I started going in 3rd grade to Bronco games, and online, it's funny, they have every once in a while people will say, date yourself by naming the oldest running back or quarterback or wide receiver, name your position, that you can recall. And mine was Floyd Little. Floyd Little.
Didn't even know he existed.
Well, he no longer exists. He's since passed away.
Oh, rest in
He's a
peace.
Ring of Famer,
Sorry.
a Syracuse running back.
Mm.
And I remember his last home game, he ripped off like a 30, 40-yard run.
Wow.
And, he was kind of the first superstar for the Broncos. And there were a lot of losing years, trust me. But I got to say that, Floyd Little was one of the earliest. Was certainly around for and we'll get into the Super Bowl era, the winning Super Bowl era. But I obviously went to all of the Elway games in the early years. The Drive, I remember that, but that was I think it was Municipal Stadium.
Municipal Stadium.
In Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
So it was the AFC Championship against Bernie Kosar. Bernie, who's going through some very severe health issues.
What year was this? Sorry. I'm having a hard time following.
Oh my God, you would have to ask me that. I thought I was doing good remembering Municipal Stadium. It was in the 80s. I want to say 87. But,
Okay. All right.
We'll look that up. But anyway, in Elway's documentary on Netflix, they obviously talked about the Drive because that's when he just really put himself on the map because they were down a touchdown. They kick off, and of course I'm watching this with a bunch of my friends out of college. So yeah, it had to be the late 80s. They I think it was Gene Lang bumbled the kickoff within the 10-yard line. It might have been the 5 or the 3. I should know that exact number.
Well, I don't.
But anyway, the reason it's called the Drive, Keith Bishop famously in the huddle said, we got him right where we want him. And they drove all the way down the field, and he winds up throwing a bullet to Mark Jackson in the end zone to tie it. They wind up going into overtime, and Rich Carlos kicks the overtime winning field goal. The following year, so there was the Drive, then there was the fumble. We have the Hulk banner behind us, and we will talk about the Hulk here in a bit because you can't talk Broncos history without talking about the Hulk. But that's when my brother Todd and I made our first banner. We would get a sheet, and that year it was, I think I had If It's Brown, Flush It Down. Maybe that's why it didn't make it on TV. But
Dad.
no, it had to have been an AFC Championship game because
You wouldn't make a banner for just any old game.
I will post a photo
Okay.
to our socials because I found the photo of Todd because Todd was my roommate at the time. We made this
Your
banner,
brother.
and there was the three amigos, and it was Ricky Nattiel, Mark Jackson, and Vance. Drawing a blank. Anyway, but Vance was injured, so the banner was Dos Amigos. But anyway, we were at the following year game, which was nicknamed the Fumble because the Browns were driving and they were going in for what would have been the go-ahead touchdown, and they fumbled within the 5-yard line, and that clinched it for the Broncos. So that game was known as the fumble. So was at a party for the
you have a lot of early Broncos memories.
well, I mean the list goes on and on. But it was pretty colorful in the South Stands. It was good for a lot of drunks and the occasional fights. You wouldn't dare wear the opposing team's jersey.
No, definitely not a Raiders jersey.
No.
Or now these days, like a Chiefs jersey.
Don't even say the C word.
We won't even. But you're not going to the playoffs, so.
But I would say I remember the game where Terrell Davis broke 2,000 yards in a season, which is a huge milestone for a running back. I think at that point it might have been Dickerson, O.J. Simpson were a couple that hit that mark. But there was also the Jacksonville playoff loss at home. And Mark Brunell was the quarterback. And I think it was the best team the Broncos had. And we had home field advantage through the playoffs. So you got to be careful about that because you can obviously lose at home. And we just, I don't know what, they were overconfident or something, but everybody thought we were just going to blow them away. And Mark Brunell had the game of his life. They lost that game, but it was the following year that the Broncos had a great winning record, and it might have been the Chiefs that had the number 1 seed. But we had to go on the road for in Kansas City and at Pittsburgh, and it was the Pittsburgh game that actually put us in Super Bowl 32. But I bring up Jacksonville because we lost to them like 3 weeks ago, and it was kind of the same thing. We're like, there's no way we'll lose to Jacksonville at home. And
we did.
Sunshine came in and with his long hair and
the overconfidence
whooped our ass.
No, it was a good game. Well, it was not a good game, but it was entertaining.
What are your? Because I know you've got some.
I do.
Early memories, relating to Broncos.
Well, and it's interesting because when I ask you this question, you're relaying over several decades, and your memories right now are tied more back to like the games and the players, which makes sense. Like you're definitely more into that aspect of football. I definitely more so love football and the Denver Broncos for the family and community aspect of it, because my earliest memories are literally watching the Broncos play as a child in the living room with you and probably Aunt Kim and just like screaming your head off at the TV. Like jumping up, which I'm not going to do right now because I would knock all of our podcast equipment off, and like doing this.
Oh yeah. We perfected the fast clap and the
as I knock my
the clapping of the chest.
Yes, for touchdowns and like just like all of the screaming, but it was it's just about community to me. And even now, like almost every Sunday, and like, well, in general, even not in football season, we like to head over on Sundays and just hang out with you and Franzi and the pups. But for football season, it's just a wonderful time to just hang with your family and watch football together. So that's like when I think of my earliest memory, it's more about like the people that I watched the game with, not necessarily like the players and who won and all of that stuff.
Well, you make me sound like a horrible person.
You're not.
Because all my only memories were the players themselves.
I know, but
they were great memories because they were my dad's tickets, and he had 4 of them, and we had 2 in one row and 2 in the row below, and there was only 1 seat in common.
No, that's
and
insane.
You didn't want this seat below because we called that the Joe row, and we had this old grumpy guy named Joe, and if there were fans that weren't the regulars that were like trying to find their seats, even if the seats were a few seats away from him, he'd look at their ticket and say, "Well, you need to go to the other
He
aisle."
said, "Get out of my aisle."
Oh, he was a grumpy
That's
old
funny.
cuss. But
That's
no, they were
hilarious.
great family memories because there were 4 of us that went, and it
Well, and
they're-
now football.
yeah, they're. I'm so hardcore. I forgot the pancake game.
The pancake
Yeah.
game.
So it was a year when I was a young adult.
So what?
I
like
might
the
have been-
80s again.
Well, no. Yeah. I think I was out of school.
Okay.
So it might have been the late 80s. I was driving. So driving age. But the Broncos weren't having a great season, and we had a huge snowstorm, and it was a day game, and we always meet down either usually at my dad's house, and of course we joke about it that he would only call like Saturday night to tell
to invite you.
just say who was going to go, and
He dictated. Well, I mean, it makes
well
sense.
they were his tickets,
Right.
But you wouldn't know until Saturday night.
No, my type A planner.
But anyway, so huge snowstorm. Don't even remember who we were playing, but I show up and we were going to meet at the pancake house near Grandpa Tom's house, and I show up. I'm all bundled up, and everybody else is in their church clothes, and I'm like, well, who's going to the game?
Like, you guys aren't dressed for.
Yeah, you're not dressed for. Everyone stayed home that day because it was freezing cold, ton of snow. They were having a bad season, and I think it was maybe not a marquee game. It wasn't like a Raider game, a circle the calendar game. And I was the only one that went, and so I will occasionally use that term: "Are you a Bronco fan or are you a pancake eater?"
Oh man.
Because if you stay at home, you are not a Bronco fan.
In that scenario, though, I may have been a
I think you-
pancake woman.
I think you were
like,
that day. You were probably a pancake eater.
Probably, but hey, when
But so you were a Bronco cheerleader.
I know. I was just gonna get into that.
I had to defend myself because you made it sound like
I know, but it was like, hey, I love the Broncos in football, but
Yes,
like I know
yeah.
nothing about
I know,
it.
I
I
know.
know a few players. I'm trying to be better about that. That's something that I'm
joking.
working on.
I'm joking.
But yeah, so I'm assuming it was your idea to enroll me in the Denver Bronco Junior Cheerleader.
It was because a little secret. I was single, but I think I had started dating Franzi. But I'm like, I get to go hang out with the cheerleaders every Saturday. Sure.
Yeah,
I'll sign my daughter up for that.
That checks out, yeah. But that was a very pivotal age and also awkward age. It was preteen, I believe, when I was enrolled.
You didn't know
in
how to
that.
dance yet.
Did not know how to dance. I was very quiet.
You
and
danced
reserved.
like your dad at that point.
You constantly remind me, yes. But my experience, it was so fun because I really looked up to the cheerleader that was, so each, like, it was a real Denver Broncos cheerleader, and they were assigned, like, a squad. And so,
Right, so I remember that.
I can't even remember her name, but I just remember how she looked, and she was so beautiful, but also just such a nice person, like, beautiful inside and out. And we would practice in season, like, every Saturday, and we would learn a routine. And then
At the stadium.
Yes, and then
At like club level, as I recall. Yeah.
did we practice?
Yes,
I don't remember.
because they were
I
in
remember
the,
practice,
they
but
were in the
not-
new stadium, and
Okay.
it was club level.
So practicing, I didn't really like make any friends. That's probably would be a great place to make friends, but I was so quiet. Like I just was enjoying
But your friend Alyssa was it Alyssa? Larissa. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, I totally forgot. That she was also a junior.
You had one
Broncos
friend.
cheerleader. I had one friend, but it was so great to just like have a role model, someone to look up to, but then also that I think kind of started my love for dance. But then it was like several games in the season, we actually got to go out and perform on the field, which was it's so crazy to think about that.
Were you nervous?
Oh
you
my
had
God,
to
I
be
was
nervous.
nervous every single time. It was so, I mean, the field is huge, and I'm like a 10-year-old.
And there's 70,000 people watching you.
We had outfits. We had blue, like cobalt blue leggings. We had white chaps, which may be a little questionably appropriate for a child. I don't know. And then an orange leotard, and then a leather vest and white boots. So we had a costume.
Did the vest have fringe?
It did. It did have fringe and buckles, very like Western. And
poms, of course.
And of course our little pom-poms. So it was so fun, an amazing experience as a kid, and I had a blast doing it. So is that program still?
I think it's still a thing.
Still a thing? Huh.
And then there would also be one game near the end of the season where the parents had the opportunity to go out on the field to stretch out the flag.
Oh yeah, I remember that. How fun!
I'm not sure I ever did that.
Maybe it just didn't work out with the schedule.
But yeah, so that was at the new stadium. When we moved to the new stadium,
which was in Vesco.
It was in Vesco. I had taken over financial responsibility for the tickets because I figured, well, this is late 90s. I was like doing quite well in the technology field, and it was like, I'll take over the tickets, and we moved to club level. It was like $1,000 a game.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, exactly.
In the late 90s too?
Yes, very expensive. We did that for a few years, and I finally said, you know what? Well, of course, then the telecom and software industry burst, and it just didn't seem to be financially frugal anymore, so we gave up the tickets. But I figured I could always buy a ticket to a game. But we had probably, a 30-year run of season ticket holders.
Yeah. Hell yeah, go Broncos.
At both stadiums.
So cool. Well, let's get into encounters with Bronco heroes.
Well, we're jumping around the decades here, so
we're jumping around.
We do jump around a lot. What's the stadium song? Jump around, jump around. I am not a singer. Although I've got a couple karaoke songs that I can manage.
You do.
So I posed this question because this was pre-Elway, and it was around the era of their first Super Bowl, which was Super Bowl 12.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. And it was against the Dallas Cowboys, but I digress. But the quarterback of the Broncos, although I think I met him after that Super Bowl, but that's where Craig Morton became a legend because he was the quarterback of the Broncos that took the Orange Crush defense to the Super Bowl. There was the Eminem connection because his favorite wide receiver was number 25, Haven Moses. So Craig Morton, I idolized because he was the first quarterback, that took the Broncos to the Super Bowl. And I was single in my probably early 20s, and there was this gala event in Denver they had every year called the Diamond Ball. And
Broncos?
No, it was like, I don't know what the number was. It's like 18 or 20 single guys that were of wealth and kind of had a lot of chutzpah in the Denver community. And it was basically their way to meet women because they would invite. It was a very tough ticket to get for women, and everybody wanted to go to the Diamond Ball.
The Diamond Ball.
I've never
heard of that.
And it was in the Tech Center, at the MCI building in the atrium, and I don't know how I got a ticket because I didn't fit any of the categories. I certainly at that time didn't have the money nor the social standing in the Denver community. It might have been through Kim because Kim was also single, and we went as dates, but we floated, the room. They had a vodka bar, and it was an open bar.
Oh my god! It's so expensive to host an event like that.
Oh my god! It was like here's a pivot. So it's like the Happy Days episode where Richie Cunningham comes home and he got drunk on beer, and his parents are asking, well, how many did you have? Well, they're just little tiny cups. Well, how many cups did you have? And he's like, it was a big number because Richie Cunningham was hammered. So these vodka shots were just little tiny shots, and they were all flavored. So you had to try them all. So
oh god,
I was feeling no pain because I, like Richie Cunningham, had a lot of these little cups of flavored vodka, and Kim was an ortho nurse and met a lot of Broncos and treated Craig Morton because he had really bad knees. I think it was probably a knee operation. Doesn't matter, but that's how she knew Craig Morton, had treated him. Probably looked under the hospital sheets. Yeah, well,
Dad.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm sure she checked
so
it out.
HIPAA laws.
Oh God, I've already done the Dr. Gupta thing, and I just did that. My sister's gonna kill me.
We may need to.
I don't know firsthand that she looked at at Little Bird.
Thanks for clarifying, Dad. Moving on.
So Diamond Ball. I'm at the Diamond Ball.
Oh my God, you're still talking.
And there's Craig Morton. Well, I had to tee it up because there was a lot of vodka involved, so I was a little bit inebriated, and I was in awe of. I'm in this small circle of people, and Kim introduces me. I extend my hand. And I say, I'm Kim's sister.
You said I'm Kim's sister?
Yes, I did.
You were starstruck.
And I was starstruck. That's the word I was looking for. And it was so funny because he looked at me and kind of had this kind of puzzled look on his face and just kind of brushed it off. But I was so starstruck, I fumbled that and said I was Kim's sister.
And you were a little drunk off the flavored vodka.
I had a lot of little cups of flavored vodka.
Wow. That's so funny. I've heard the story of that encounter, but I didn't realize the backstory and
the Diamond Ball and where it was.
The vodka bar.
And,
how fun.
And lots of flavored vodka.
Ugh. You like vodka?
But I think I had met John Elway during the Wade Phillips era of not Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator that brought the Broncos to their high defensive status, but Wade Phillips was the head coach. That year I went to a benefit and got a signed picture. So somewhere in the boxes from the attic I've got a signed picture of
the Elway picture?
Of me, Elway, and Wade Phillips.
I think I've seen that. Well, it used to have an Elway framed photo in the basement.
I still have that. I gave Todd the signed helmet because we've talked that I'm doing, and I kept calling it Swedish Death Cleanse. And when we saw Aunt Marge at Thanksgiving, she's like, I think it's Swedish Death Cleaning. And I swore up and down it was cleanse, and I Googled it, and it is in fact Swedish Death Cleaning. But I gave Todd my Broncos helmet because I collected Broncos stuff for years and years. A Terrell Davis Wheaties box, and I'm like, what am I gonna do with this stuff?
Hang it in your man cave.
All right. Well, but I don't really have a man cave at the moment. But I have hung on to the Hulk banner.
Right. Hold on.
Hold your horses.
Hold your horses. You didn't ask me about encounters.
Oh, did you encounter?
Well, no. But I wanted to talk about...
Actually, you met a couple of CSU football players, one of which went on to greatness in the NFL. Because didn't you meet Shaq Barrett?
No.
What was his name? You met a linebacker
Shaq.
one year. You
I
told
don't
me.
know.
You're like, Dad, I met a bunch of CSU players.
That was college. You know, I'm sure I did with Alex Bauer, but I can't remember now. It's fine. But so future Denver Broncos player, sure.
We'll ask Alex because I think it was Shaq Barrett.
I'll ask her. But I haven't met this player, but on our way back, traveling from St. Louis back to Denver over Thanksgiving, Colin, my partner, was like, "Hey, can we listen to this podcast?" Because Garrett Bowles, who is the current offensive tackle player, was like on this podcast. And I was like, "Hey, we're literally driving through Kansas right now. I'll listen to anything."
Right.
But I really enjoyed hearing about his backstory and growing up, because he came from a really hard life growing up and family home, and he actually moved in with like a friend of his during high school, and just kind of like hearing about his life story. But I also resonated with his outlook. There's a quote from him: "It doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish," which I don't know if he actually is the first person to say that, but I just really liked listening to him talk on this podcast. And he's a family man. I'm not super religious, but he is, and he was just talking about his faith, and he just seems like a really nice guy. So I was like, I like him. That's my new favorite player.
And well, I think he made the Pro Bowl this year.
Well,
we would need Colin in here to correct us on our real time Bronco facts, and he's got a great podcast voice.
He does,
right?
But yeah, I really enjoyed listening to him. But then also just I didn't even think about how. And this totally makes sense, but like as a football player, it's you're an individual athlete, but you play on a team. And so he also, they have the Denver Broncos coaches, but a lot of these players also have like their own coach.
Oh yeah.
And
there's an offensive line coach and defensive line coach.
No, but that's for the team. Like he has his own coach that really kind of pivoted the way that he trains and his outlook.
Oh, personal coach.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
And I just thought that was really cool to hear that perspective, and he just seems like a really nice guy. So I haven't met him, but he's my new favorite player.
Okay. Well, I guess that would encounter. You had a podcast encounter with Garrett Bowles.
Yeah.
The reason I ask about his voice is that 9 News is where I catch my local Bronco news, and they have a former Denver Post writer named Mike Kliss that does Let's Play Kliss and Tell, and they open it with a Garrett Bowles quote, and he's at the podium after a game or just practice probably. He's like, "Oh, Mike Kliss, here we go," and they play that every time for Mike Kliss. He's an awesome guy. He's having a great year.
Mm-hmm. Very wholesome guy.
Seems like
okay, so let's get into the Hulk banner. Like, I mean, if you can't see the full breadth of this, but there's the Denver Broncos logo at the bottom, and obviously, like, you painted and drew this yourself.
So for our podcast listeners, we again go to our YouTube channel. You can see this. We'll post pictures of this on social. This is actually the second Hulk banner. Shannon Sharpe, and they talk about this in the Shannon Sharpe conversation with John Elway, and they've been posted on social media over the last couple of days, talking about Super Bowl 32 and the helicopter and the fact that Shannon Sharpe always wore long sleeve clothes while working out, and Elway talked about how they're always in the weight room, and at the end of training camp there was the big reveal where he showed, because he's a one ripped dude, and
he's had his muscles.
So he started doing this kind of weightlifter Hulk pose after he would score in the end zone after he'd score a touchdown.
Many players
do. He kind of developed this nickname of the Hulk. So I am like, well, we did that earlier banner for that Cleveland Browns game. Let's do a Hulk banner. and I've got photos of it, but they lost a game, and I was so pissed I didn't retrieve it.
I totally forgot about
Hulk
that.
number 1.
But, man, you used to get so emotional about the Broncos games.
Oh
I can't
my God.
believe you left it at the stadium.
I was
That's
so pissed.
dramatic.
I was so pissed.
You can take your banner.
I left
Shannon
Hulk 1 and it wound up in a dumpster. So the one behind me, I'm like, well, I need to do it bigger and better. So it's the cartoon, the Marvel character of the Hulk, with a purple mountainscape background, and it's a pretty big white sheet. So I would do this because it's got to be big enough to be seen on TV. Because part of it is I was a big fan of him. It would be a home run if he A, scored a touchdown, B, it was in the south stands, and C, he would run over, and he started running over to the banner. It was kind of like a good luck charm, and he would tap the banner after he'd score a touchdown.
Wow. We have a relic behind us, guys.
We do. So there was one game where he scored 3 touchdowns, and all 3 times he would run over and tap the banner. Of course, I would run home and watch the game because being in the south stands and it was hanging on the wall below us, I couldn't see it. I could see him run
on the screen.
I knew exactly where it was from my view, 30 rows up or whatever it was, and I knew that he was running over and tapping at it. But on this one broadcast, I think I reposted to social because I had it on an old VCR tape.
But we're gonna post it again.
Yeah, and I would change out the logos. And at that time, NBC had the AFC teams, and Dick Enberg was a broadcaster for NBC. And on the broadcast, Shannon goes over and he taps the banner and happened to tap the peacock, which was the NBC logo. So Dick Enberg is like, oh, he's pounding the peacock.
Head of the peacock from Shannon Sharpe.
So I was, over the moon.
Well, you're
excited because he. It seemed
your banner that you made was meaningful to him.
Yeah, so we did when we moved to the new stadium. We hung it a couple times. I think he came back for retirement, or it might have been a Ring of Fame thing. I hung it. But it was, we were up in Clubwell, so you couldn't see it, and they had a lot more restrictions about hanging stuff
I was just gonna
in the new stadium.
If you can even hang stuff now in stadiums, probably not. But I know people bring signs.
But I did bring it to Super Bowl 32 in San Diego.
Well,
and we'll talk about Super Bowls in a minute, but.
We're not segueing there now.
Well, no, we're gonna. There's one last thing that you may not know. So his girlfriend at the time somehow got a hold of me and asked if I would do one for him at home, and I said, "Well, I will." And she's like, "Well, I can pay you, and what would you charge?" And I'm like, I was. Really, this isn't my day job, and I'm a fan, and but I'm like, well, it's going to take me 8 hours or
more,
10 hours to do this thing. So I'm like, I'll tell you what, if I could get, I'd never been on the field before at that time, so I'm like, if you could get me on the field and maybe a signed jersey,
we'll call it a day.
I'm golden. So, didn't get on the field. I do think he eventually broke up with her, and she did give me 2 signed jerseys. They were Shannon Sharpe jerseys, but to this day, and I think I eventually sold them in a garage sale, but I would go to collectible stores, and I've seen his signature, and it didn't match the signature of the jerseys I got.
Oh, and they're really particular about having the authentication certificate
of authentication. This was, I think she signed them herself because it was real
Wait,
small.
Did you actually make the banner for him though?
I did, and I framed it.
Oh, so did you go to his house or no?
No,
You
I just
made
somehow,
one?
I think I met her in a parking lot or something. It was a girlfriend, but
I wonder if he still has it.
I don't know. He may have it in the garage. You know,
Who knows? Maybe it's
I know he doesn't have that girlfriend anymore, so it may have gone out with the girlfriend.
Yeah, but
But
I mean, even though if he wasn't with her, like, I don't know. I'm just curious. Shannon Sharpe, do you still have the Hulk banner from an ex-girlfriend?
So I was on 9 News
I know.
because they heard about the banner and came out to our house in on 32 Blue Sage in Ken Carroll. 9 News came out and interviewed me. I've got that, I think, on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're gonna post it on
a million years
social.
ago.
It's such a cool video.
But they came out and showed me working on the banner that was going to go to, his house. One last thing, before we go to Super Bowl, Adam Schefter was a beat writer for the Broncos for the Denver Post, and after one game, I went down after the game as usual. We'd run down and grab the banner, and you can't see, but I had grommets and rope, and we had and weights at the bottom, so we had perfected how to hang a banner, But Adam Schefter, who's now a big time, reporter for ESPN, interviewed me as a beat writer, so I think I've got
A news clipping.
a news clipping of that way back when, but it was fun.
Yeah, no, I love that you're able to blend two of your passions, football and art, and
Exactly.
also it was just meaningful to Shannon Sharpe, so that's awesome.
Even though A, I never got on the field, and B, I think I got counterfeit jerseys from his girlfriend.
Or he just signed them really sloppily.
No, because it was a transaction with her, not with him. So I'm not dogging Shannon because he didn't know what the
No, I'm
deal
not
was.
saying that. I'm just, very curious story. I didn't know that. That's what we do on the Butterfly Pavilion Podcast. Dad tells me stories that I haven't heard before.
Exactly.
Amongst other things.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's hear about the Super Bowls you've been to. But before you get into that, I've never been to the Super Bowl. I love the Super Bowl for a few reasons. One, the commercials. I'm in marketing and advertising, so of course.
If you go to the game, you don't get those.
I know. Which, Super Bowl though. It's
a big thing because football is a big thing to our family.
Yes, I'm not downplaying attending the Super Bowl, but normally I'm just watching it from home or at a party or something. I actually do prefer to watch it at home so I can hear the commercials because I'm a nerd. But I love that, but then also the entertainment, like the halftime shows. Do you know who's performing this year?
It was controversial because it's Bad Bunny.
It is Bad Bunny. I forgot. I'm excited. I love Bad Bunny, but I don't know why that has to be controversial, but it is.
Because isn't he from Puerto Rico? I think he's from Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
but there are certain political figures that don't understand that that's actually part of the United States.
Yeah, we gotta.
So it's controversial because I think he's in my son Keenan and Nay. They're big time Bad Bunny fans.
Yeah, they've seen Bad Bunny 20 times. I swear.
Yeah, they've seen him a lot before he got real famous.
Yeah, and he's.
I don't see the controversy.
That's entertainment. But anyway, so I'm excited regardless. I really hope though the Broncos go to the Super Bowl. That would be so fun.
So I did forget, and this just popped in my head. I'm going to talk about because we're going to talk about Super Bowls.
We are.
But you talk about the party aspect of the game because you've not gone to a Super Bowl and it's a big social thing.
Of course.
When I was in my 20s, I came up with this thing called the Pony Club. And I had
Pony Club.
We would have parties for away Bronco games. And it was only the away games because
you were at the
I was at the home games. And
Pony Club.
I, drew up little logos and had flyers, and it was another excuse to get together and drink beer and watch Bronco games. But we had some great parties.
I know you did.
With the Pony Club.
The Pony Club. Let's bring that back.
We should bring back the Pony
We
Club.
should go to College Inn and have a Pony Club.
I think that is also online somewhere.
That's so fun. Yeah.
Brochures for the Pony Club. But Super Bowl. So this first off sounds very bougie because I have actually been to 2 Super Bowls, and it's a very expensive ticket, and it gets more and more expensive every year.
I'm gonna look it up later.
Being a sports fan, and Broncos are my number one. The NFL is my number one, but I am a sports fan. Nuggets and Avalanche are both doing great this year. The Rockies, we won't get into that. I am not a fan. Not a fan of their ownership.
Poor Rockies.
Poor Rockies. Oh my God. But because I love sports, I have been able to go to a Final Four. Do you know what a Final Four is, Nikki?
No, I'm nodding and listening to you.
What do you think it is? What's a Final Four?
It's a Super Bowl game?
It is far from Super Bowl. It's a round ball sport.
Oh, for like March Madness?
Yes.
All right.
Ding, ding, ding.
You're talking about Super Bowl, and then you just segued to
I said
Final Four game.
Okay, so excuse me. I have been to a Final Four. I've been to a World Series. I've been to a Stanley Cup playoff game. All were amazing, but nothing beats the pinnacle of a Super Bowl.
No, because it's one game.
It is one game. It is an extremely hard ticket to get. So the first Super Bowl I went to was Super Bowl 32. You looked up something.
Sorry, yes, I did. I was just curious, this day and age, how much an average Super Bowl ticket costs. According to Google AI Overview, so take this with a grain of salt, generally ranges from $4,000 to over $7,000 per seat.
Wow.
That's insane. But
so Super Bowl 32. This was the year after they had that Jacksonville playoff loss at home to Mark Brunell.
So in the 90s. Like, what year is this? I hear Super Bowl 32, and I don't know what time.
Late 90s.
Okay.
Well, you're Miss Google. I think it was 98. And you're going to look that up.
Yep.
It is after the Broncos had lost 4 Super Bowls. And Elway talks about this in his documentary on Netflix. Even his family was like, "Oh no, we're gonna lose again," because he takes losses very hard that you learn about from his family. They even had his ex-wife Janet on there. And to that point, so they were the underdog. They were going to play the Green Bay Packers. Brett Favre had won the previous year's Super Bowl, and nobody, they were the underdog in that game. So I'm like, I'm going, and I found a ticket broker, and I rang up my good buddy Fred and said, "Hey, I've got a line on tickets. We can stay at my Aunt Marge's place before she remodeled. So we got a free place to stay. We got a ticket, and I think it was like $1,200 to buy these.
Which is so expensive.
It wasn't face value. It might have been. It was $1,200 to $2,000. But I was making decent money at that time, and I'm like,
it's a Super Bowl.
It's a Super Bowl. I've got a shot to go. Fred reminds me every time I see him. He didn't go because he also was like, I don't want to spend that kind of money to see them lose, and he's kicked himself his whole life
I'm sure.
that he didn't go. So
who'd you end up going with? Aunt Kim?
No. So Uncle Todd. My brother Todd. his good friend, Reed Harmon, was family friends with the Elways. And Reed had a line on tickets. So Todd actually went, I think, I know we went to the Kansas City divisional game, or that might have been the Kansas City wildcard game. I think he may have actually gone to the Pittsburgh game. I know he went to the Kansas City game, and Reed was going to take him to the Super Bowl. So Todd was going to go. I'm going. We got a free place to stay. Marge's friends, it might have been Nancy. You may have met Nancy and Kim. They were huge time Chargers fans, and it was played at the Charger Stadium. And she had a parking pass.
Like the stars are aligning.
Oh, the stars are aligning. So I had a
game.
parking pass. I had a line on tickets. I had a place to stay. Get a flight. I wanted going, and I'll only talk about a few plays. So Green Bay goes down, scores right away, and I'm like, shit, here we go again. We're gonna lose. We're gonna lose. But Broncos go down and answer and score right back, and I'm like, I think we got a shot at this.
And such an exciting
feeling. It was a back and forth game, but then I've got an actual photograph of the helicopter play. So the seats that I got were around the 45-yard line, about 12 rows up, in the Broncos family section. So I was sitting next to two young women who were the daughters of the offensive line coach, George Dyer, I think was his name. And I've also got a panoramic photo of the stadium, and I can pinpoint myself in that photograph.
Oh, I'm sure.
One time,
I know
actually,
exactly where your seats were.
Oh, well, and I did run to the bathroom a couple times because, there was beer being consumed.
Of course.
But, and then Todd was like a couple sections over, a few rows up from me. But anyway, it was an amazing game. Todd comes over. He's actually crying. And we were so numb, we just hung out in the parking lot afterward. One of the best days of my life. It was just the best game, and I was there. It was awesome.
Yeah, how fun. Seeing your team win.
But the second Super Bowl, so in your Grandpa Tom's, my dad's twilight, we'll call it, he would work the Bronco games. It's like the Bronco hospitality guy.
Usher, like when you go to
help people find their seats.
Yes, and he had all the pins.
But he, it was a way for him to be at the game, watch the game, and flirt with women.
Oh my God.
I think was part of it. But being an employee, they had a drawing to send an employee to the game, and they drew your Grandpa Tom's name out of the hat.
Was it a drawing or a contest?
It was a drawing. They pulled a name out of the hat.
Out of how many employees?
A lot.
What are the odds?
A lot.
Like lifetime Bronco
there were like the upper echelon of employees that automatically went.
Right.
They couldn't send
all the ushers,
stadium employees, down to that level. So they pull the name out of the hat. I think somewhere we've got a recording of that phone call. But my dad, probably because at that time I picked up paying for the tickets, and he asked me to go. So it was just me and my dad, and it was the most amazing trip because I'd never gone on a trip with my dad, just the two of us.
Just a solo trip?
And we shared a room.
Oh my God, you shared a room with Grandpa Tom.
Yeah, so it was funny because I did a blog post about it, and I think I named it The Last Time I Saw Dad in His Underpants.
Oh my God. Well, okay, sorry. I totally lost my train of thought of fact checking, but the first Super Bowl that you were just talking about was in 1998. So this next Super Bowl where Grandpa Tom invited you, what
Super Bowl 48. Super Bowl 48.
Super Bowl 48.
We aren't going to talk about the game so much. But anyway.
2013. Oh, just kidding. It was in 2014 at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey.
Yes. I think I had traveled to. I think I was in Mexico that week. Probably came home and then quickly went back to New York. But
That's
anyway,
amazing.
they wound up losing a game. It was Peyton Manning's first game with the Broncos. They had a ton of injuries, but given that it was the Broncos, giveaway, we flew out on the family plane.
That's
and
crazy.
There were family members, but there were also all of the injured players. So Chris Harris, who was a cornerback and injured and part of the no-fly zone, was on the plane. Rod Smith was on the plane. Mayor Hancock was on the plane. And my dad kept running over and, hobnobbing with this guy. And I'm like, Dad, you aren't even a Democrat. What are you doing? He's like, well, you never know. There, Grandpa, there might be a deal, kind of a deal.
I cannot. Wait, was this like a private plane or was
It
this
was
like
chartered by United.
Okay, but then it was everyone on the plane was like a family of injured players.
So it was a United charter, but it was a big plane because there was a lot of people on the plane. I think Von Miller must have been on that plane.
That's a long flight too, from Denver to New Jersey.
Yeah. So we stayed.
Tom was like walking.
So we stayed at the Marriott in the Financial District, and had room.
New York?
What?
New York or New Jersey?
In Manhattan.
Of course, or Manhattan.
And a couple things that memories I'll hold forever, and I talk about all the time. One was. Friday night, there was a private party at, I think it's the 4040 Club in Manhattan, and it was a invite only. They closed the place down. A lot of other dignitaries of Denver were there. Floyd Little was actually there. I've got a photograph of Floyd Little, so tying it back to the first player that I idolized was there.
What a full circle moment.
Yeah, and so they had a bus to take everybody from the Marriott to, this club, and we missed the bus. And
missed the bus?
Well, it was I think we were doing Times Square and a bunch of things, and we weren't really worried about it because we knew, it was kind of an optional thing. There was a bus that was leaving. We didn't meet the bus, so I'm like, well, subway. I knew the subway system because I'd been to New York enough. We could take that. A taxi would get us there quicker because now we're bumping up against, missing this party.
Oh, the party.
So this guy's right there, and he's like, "Hey, I've got a ride. where are you going and how much?" And I'm like, "Deal." Well, it was a limo, so it's me and Grandpa Tom in, his winter coat, but under that he had a tie on, his orange kerchief. You could just see it. He was all dressed up in a limo, and I don't think Grandpa Tom had a lot of limo rides in his life. But the funniest part is we pull up to the club, and they hadn't opened the party yet. So there's a line like 100 deep, and up rolls a limo. And everybody's like rubbernecking to see
who's
going to hop out of the limo. Is it Jay-Z? Is it Beyonce? And out pops Tune Time with Tommy and me. And
just you two in the limo. Nobody else.
And then I talked our way into the... First off, they didn't have our name on the list, but there was somebody that knew Grandpa Tom, and they're like, no, he's with us, let him in.
He's with us.
And then, but there was the VIP level, and I talked our way up there.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. And Grandpa, once again, was hobnobbing with Mayor Hancock, and Backus and Schenker lawyer guys were there.
Oh my God. Secondhand embarrassment.
Oh my
Grandpa
God.
Tom.
And there was like a photo booth, so I've got some really funny photos of me with a huge foam, orange hat. And,
I've seen those. Yes.
Yeah, my vest and blue shirt. I thought I was decked out, but that was a grand night. And of course, Elway showed up later. So everybody was there. The second one was the night before the Super Bowl. were like, we had ideas of going, to this place in Uptown that brother Tim had mentioned, and this and that, and we had already been all over New York. I mean, I took Grandpa to Grand Central Station and
all the
Times
tourist
Square and
stuff.
all the places you should see. At least I don't think he'd ever been there, but we were both, I wanted to rest up for the game on Sunday because it was going to be a long day of bus ride to New Jersey and then after party, yada, yada, yada. So I'm like, you know what? I had done this with Franzi. They had a happy hour. There happened to be a Morton's downstairs. And I'm like, Dad, tell you what, let's just go to Morton's. It's close. We can do
pop in and out.
A nice dinner. So same thing. Grandpa Tom, of course, Grandma Ruth had folded Grandpa's clothes in the suitcase. She packed us, of course. I mean, it was the most organized suitcase ever. Got all dressed up. We walk into Morton's and he's like, table for two. And I'm like, Dad, we're gonna go do the happy hour over at the bar. And he's like, oh, okay. So because I wasn't gonna do the full $56
Yeah, you're like, whoa,
steak,
whoa,
and whoa. We can get the $12 steak over here. So we're in it. So we go sit at the bar, and he sits down and he's like, give me a good glass of red. And I'm like, Dad, tell you what, let me look at the menu. Because a good glass of red, again,
it could cost like $200.
Well, it could be $40 or who knows what. But Pat Bolin was there that night, the previous owner, and now passed away, owner of the Broncos, with his family. So it was just a grand experience. The game itself is a blur because they got shellacked. I mean, they fumbled on the very first play, and it was all downhill from there. It was a blowout. I thought for sure we were going to slaughter them, and because the Broncos with Peyton Manning had set like touchdown records, and they were lighting it up.
I forgot about that.
They had a ton of injuries. My theory is they knew our playbook because they knew exactly where we were going every play before we even got there.
Well, that is,
But anyway, we've gone full circle because we started with memories of players and plays and games, and this one, which is super special because I'd never been to a game or I'd never gone on a trip just me and my dad.
Yeah, no, having that quality time is so nice. And also just what are the odds that Grandpa Tom's name gets pulled from a raffle at work?
You'd have thought he was fucking Mayor Giuliani the way he strutted around that city.
I can see it. Him in his suit and just handshaking everybody.
Well, and shocking, all the cheerleaders knew Tom.
Of course they did.
So there was one that was his favorite, and there's a famous photo I've got I took of Dad and these two cheerleaders, and you know how you take a picture and you kind of group together, your hand would probably logically be around their waist.
An appropriate
area.
To
the
take
waist.
a group photo, yes.
The waist. Well, no, Grandpa Tom's hands were right below the brassiere area.
So embarrassing as a woman, also. These poor cheerleaders are going to be groped by Grandpa Tom.
On the verge of cupping, and that's where I'll end it. But I'll post that photo as well. But he
was just excited.
He was excited.
It was okay,
he loved to talk. He was a giant flirt, and everybody loved Tom.
Well, I'm so glad you had those amazing experiences, and now I need to watch the LA documentary because
it is very good.
Colin has been asking me to watch it, and I need to.
Let's wrap with movie quotes. So movie quotes have become very popular. We actually did one with Akiko.
We did.
I only knew Akiko from online, and I'm like, is this going to be unprofessional? Is she? And I could tell from the moment we introduced her as Cher, she giggled and she had a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
and no one's ever seen that side of her. So we did spring a movie quote on her. Of course, the Resistors, they absolutely loved it. They're like, oh yay, and they were half correct on the answer. So I only have 2 today, and one I know you won't get.
Okay. Wow. Setting me up for failure.
Well, it is so obscure that, but I think it's poignant way to
All right,
maybe
bring it on.
wrap the episode.
Bring it on, Dad.
So, first movie quote. Are you saying Pan or Pam? I'm saying Pam. I'm sorry. Who is this gentleman sitting behind you? Well, hello, Miss Lady. I'm Dale. I'm Brennan's stepbrother. And I think I might be able to help with the old Pan-Pam dilemma.
Is it Step Brothers?
Once again, I used the name of the movie in the quote.
So I got it right?
Yeah, you got it right. Yes, it is Step Brothers. It's when they show up in tuxedos for an interview.
But also, Dale triggered that memory.
Well, and I said Brennan.
And you said
Dale and Brennan.
Well, next.
The second movie quote. And I just love this quote. It's one of my favorite movies, and I'm like, I Google, famous quotes from the movie. I will read it, and I will not try to replicate the voice on this one. But hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.
Princess Bride?
No.
We just watched that movie the other night, so I thought maybe it was relevant.
I had never seen Princess Bride. This is the one I knew you wouldn't get because it's so obscure. The character's name was Andy Dufresne from Shawshank Redemption.
Never seen that movie, but I like that.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
You've never seen Shawshank Redemption?
No.
You were going to come over and watch Shawshank Redemption. I did get Jesse to come over and he watched part of The Godfather, and I was falling asleep and he left. So we're half good on that, but you've got to see Shawshank Redemption.
Well, next Sunday.
It's one of my top 10 movies of all time.
Okay, well, we need to watch it then. But
Yes.
I like that quote. It's good.
Well, this was a great episode. A lot of fun things to talk about. Bo Nix is...
Bo Nix. We believe.
We believe.
Believe. I know,
Bo
I'm
Nix.
excited for the rest of their season, and thank you all so much for tuning in or watching to the Butterfly Pavilion Podcast, and to stay connected with us, be sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Butterfly Pavilion Pod. Also, if you want to reach out to us with any feedback or, ideas or
sponsors, could be you.
Could be you. You could email us at butterflypavilionpod@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sweet.
Super Bowl!